Good morning. Welcome back to my video channel and my podcastings, and I hope you had a wonderful full moon yesterday, full moon in Leo. Yes, it was a little bit of a tough night, but we had storms going here, so wow. Storms and rainstorms. It's a bright sunny morning for about, half an hour, and then it'll probably kick in again. But at least it's sunny. I love it when the sun shines. It's just awesome. It's just like, I miss spring. Come on, spring, it's on its way. We've got Symbolic again on the 4th. It's like, okay, that's the first blush of spring, so you can see my other videos for that. Today I want to talk to you about a subject that I explored many years ago. It's Buddhism. Now, you see, I'm a pagan. I do believe in nature. I believe in human nature. I believe in Mother Nature. I believe in our nature. And I'm not really much of a theist. I don't go in for invisible friends. So I will believe in that, like, nature is my God, if you like, because I can see nature. I can go and hug a tree. I can go climb the Tor. I can go and dance in a sacred circle. Those are all, like, real. Whereas invisible friends spouting stuff, okay, if it works for you, if it's a good coping mechanism, and I do believe that communities can be built around religions, can be very, very positive and beneficial. In fact, that's one of the things I think is the Abrahamic religions. So the Abrahamic religions are sort of Judaism, Christianity, and of course Islam, but they all came out of Abrahamic, basically. They all came out of the Middle East, and yeah, there's a lot of good truths in there, and I don't knock it. One or two of them I have a little issues with, the fact that I'm a female, and up until a few years ago, when I was looking for religions and looking for God, if you like, or gods, yeah, there wasn't anything for me as a female. You just had to do as what a male told you, and yeah, I was a little bit rebellious. I was a feminist in those days. Now, feminism in these days is something totally different. I love men. Okay, don't get me wrong. I think I am grateful for the patriarchy. Woo, I think the patriarchy gave me safety, gave my children safety. The patriarchy is not doing well for men. As you know, men are being suffered. I'm a great follower of Jordan Peterson. I think he talks a lot of sense. So, yeah, I think the battle of the sexes is being promoted, like, let's make it all men's fault. And I think that's really rough, because men have taken the brunt and the burden. Behind every good man, there's a good woman. Now, I'm a firm believer of that. It's a partnership. I've been married. I went with on my own for a while, and I'm better off in a partnership. I like having a male partner. Now, my own journey was quite. I call myself I'm bisexual, because I've been attracted to both women and men. And I've had relationships in both sides as well. So I don't see myself as straight, but I like the masculine to balance out my femininity. I like being feminine. There's a lot of wars out there on sort of what is a definition of a woman, and I'm not going to get into that yet. But I like the patriarchy. I like men. I have a wonderful and amazing masculine partner, and I love him to pieces. So when I look at religions, I'm like looking for a balance rather than a patriarchy. So I admire the patriarchy in state systems and civilizations and things like that. But in religion, yeah, this is why I'm a pagan. I represent, the goddess mother. I have given birth. So looking at the earth around me, the earth to me is female. It has to be. It's like it's a big mother, so the great mother and Father Sky. And it's like, okay, those are primitive terms, but you can find their roots in the old farming cultures. So when I was looking at this article, it's about basically the misogynist aspect of Buddhism. Now, it's a few years old, this article, but I do remember coming across it. I travelled across India many, many years ago, and I learnt a lot about Hinduism, and I learnt a lot about sort of the Buddhism aspect there. I also went up to Dharamsala and met the Dalai Lama, and yeah, that was ages back. Gosh, I was a child, but it made a difference. I looked into an awful lot of Buddhist spirituality, especially, particularly Tibetan Buddhist, but I found it was not. Buddha himself left his wife and son to become enlightened. And that whole aspect bothered me. And it was like, what sort of man would leave his wife and children behind? A man who obviously is dedicated to a higher self, but hey, hang on a second. So I looked at that and I didn't like it. Okay, so when I read this article, it says Hindu is patriarchy, Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, Sikhism, Shinto, Jainism, Judaism. They're all patriarchal. Okay, so in other words, it's a group of very enlightened, very beautiful, very wise, intense men have received a message and they've shared it with the world. Now, trust me, I don't knock it, but as a woman, I worry about the women they left behind, especially the children they left behind. It's like Buddha is a kind of androgynous, asexual, gentle sage. Yet some of the things he's meant to have said, it's better for you to have put your manhood in the mouth of a venomous snake or a pit of burning charcoal than a woman. Okay, so yeah, it does, like, of all the scents that can enslave, none is more lethal than a woman. These are attribute sayings from the Buddha. And I didn't know that, but I must admit the feeling was there. There are more rules for the nuns than the monks. While as everyone has to control their desires, a man is not necessarily having to, a man has to control his desires. The woman has an additional burden of not arousing the desires of men. Now, forgive me, but I grew up in a time I'm an RAF brat. So basically, the RAF are gentlemen. Yeah, you could get drunk on them, they'd take you home, right? It is not my job to not arouse a man. A man's job is to control himself. End of story. I don't understand why it is my fault that a man can look at me and it's my fault that I looked at you and became aroused and now I'm not godly. I am now unclean. It's like, well, what did I have to do with that? Where was my involvement in that? I am just being me. If you found me arousing, I have to sort of protect myself from that. So do you want me to cover up and do the Islam solution? I don't agree with that. I agree with making men stronger so that they can say, they can be gentlemen. A true British gentleman. The old time. Yes, I'm old. And maybe this is an idealistic longing for the olden days. And the olden days weren't that good either. So it's just that the men I grew up with were strong, protective, masculine men that would never dream of taking a non-consenting woman. Okay, there was the old-fashioned... and it wasn't good. The old-fashioned where they put a hand on your knee while they're talking to you. And it was taking advantage. But there is a meme that says, I miss the old days where a man would take you out to dinner and then try and seduce you into bed. Those were the olden days. But it's still, in religion, it's like a man becomes unclean when he looks at a woman. And you've got to ask yourself, well, where did we get involved in that? Where did the women get involved? It creates a division. And I never knew that that Buddhism was such, a lethal state. They say it's a lethal state for a man to get aroused by a woman, and they have been defeated. It's like, whoa. I suppose the whole idea of that is asexuality. I get it. You want to shut down all your sexuality. The monks tried, and it ended into perversions. The monks of Catholics, be it Hindu, be it religion, anybody who is suppressing a need, they seem to corrupt it. And it does corrupt. Underlying the whole of our society is now feeling levels of that corruption. It's like sexuality for a lot of people has been pushed down. You're told to suppress it. And it's, in a lot of ways, it's corrupted and gone perverted. It's like the source is better and bigger than that, and we have to find that again. I'm just as much befuddled. I'm just bewildered of the rise of paedophilia in this country. Well, around the world, it's like, what? Who would look at a child and think that? That's alien. That's beyond me. I'd rather think of reptilians and aliens rather than actual human going down that path. But when somebody is trying to find God inside them or without them, be it a right-hand path or a left-hand path, yes, they have to face their shadows and their demons. By suppressing it, it isn't a good idea. So, yeah, it worries me about Buddhism. I mean, they started off abandoning their children and wives because they couldn't find God while as a family, in a family unit. Nah, you have to find God wherever you are in whatever situation, otherwise it isn't a real thing. If you only get it while you're meditating and you can't transcribe the meditation into your life, this is why I embrace paganism, because I can bring pagan into every aspect of my life. It's not a religion, so to speak. This is why we're not organized. There's a few sort of cosplayers and things like that, but there's very little organized paganism. We were stamped upon sort of Christianity, and the Abrahamics sort of wiped us out sort of big time. However, it's the weak will fail and the strong survive. But even like where it says in the article, women who dress like men, who are absolutely asexual and they are manly, they're not allowed to become nuns. So you don't include hermaphrodites, transsexuals, eunuchs, cross-dressers and effeminate gay men. They're not, they should not be ordained as monks. This is all Buddhist. So they really are trying to streamline that to, they're trying to streamline it to what they see it is. Oh, and the amusing bit was monks that are warned against too much defection for cows and female monkeys. Ew. That's gross. I don't even want to think that. But it's an interesting article, and I'm glad I read it, but it certainly told me my instinct about Buddhism was correct. So that's all I've got for you today. I'm enjoying these videos. Maybe I'll do a couple more every day. It's like, okay. So I love you lots. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll speak to you soon.